Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe, share, and like button. We are on our way to 100,000 subscribers. Thank you to all the longtime freaks who've been supporting my channel for years and years. I think we started doing live streams in 2018, so that's at least 4 years, and I've been making videos on YouTube for 10. I didn't really become a YouTuber, though, till maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. And it has taken me a long time to get where I am currently. I'd also like to say thank you to all the new people that have subscribed and the new channel members. I'd also like to thank my moderators for making my streams a welcoming place to be, as well as taking care of the trolls that seem to find a happy place on YouTube. Now, today's video is about an article that was just put out by the Daily Mail, where they interviewed the driver who took Kaylee and Madison home after they were at the grub truck. So they were at the corner club right here on the video, and they're seen walking right in this particular areas when we hear the Adam surveillance footage, where Kaylee asked Madison, "What did you say to Adam?" And then Madison said, "I told Adam everything." If that's significant or not, we don't know. It just has a ring to being possibly significant. Then they walk down the street and cut across right around in this area and go to the grub truck. There's a guy in a hoodie. He's the same guy, Jack, that was walking with them in, all the way from the corner club. He walks with them, but stands back. He doesn't buy anything to eat. Kaylee and Madison buy food, and then they wait for their food. And then after buying the food, they go in front of the grub truck and right around in this area and get a ride. And the person that was with them, he went this direction. He walked like this, and he's been cleared too. The driver of the vehicle that they got in has also been cleared by law enforcement, and he took them home. He said he picked them up between 1:40 and 1:45, which is pretty accurate, and got them home at 1:53. And that would be right over here. This is the house right here. I have this 1:59. That was from an earlier bit of information. It's not a long drive, but he did get them home at around 1:53. Okay, now this is what he said in the Daily Mail article. I'll put the article link in the description. He said, "It's not lost on me that my job was to get these girls home safe, but that didn't really help this time." Yeah, it's true. I mean, he doesn't need to feel bad whatsoever. He did do his job. He got the girls home safely. All right, they got home safe. The murders happened between 3 and 4. So he did do what he was supposed to do. He shouldn't feel bad whatsoever about it. It just must be an eerie feeling. He also said, "I had known Kaylee and Maddie and Zaina too. They would occasionally get rides home, and there was nothing out of the ordinary about that night." Yeah, and that's what it looks like, right? They're talking, and they're at the grub truck, and they're just goofing around, taking pictures and so forth. It just seemed like I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my dog Chloe's eating in the background. But I'm going to keep recording anyways. So everything did seem pretty normal. The Adam statement means that there might have been some kind of controversy earlier in the evening, but they're out having fun, drinking, and soon forget what they were talking about prior. So he said, "I had known Kaylee and Maddie and Zaina too. They would occasionally get rides home, and there was nothing out of the ordinary about that night." He then said, "I picked them up at 1:40 to 1:45. They had their food, and they were super excited about their mac and cheese, as girls are after they go out to the club." Yeah, so it sounds like they just got in the car, and they were just can't wait to go home and eat it. And I'm sure that's going to be, unfortunately, part of the determining the time of death, because they know approximately when they got home, and likely would have eaten their mac and cheese shortly after getting home. And in the autopsy, it will be able to be determined the time of death due to the digestion of the food. Apparently, after you die, digestion of food stops immediately. The driver said he was familiar with surveillance footage in which one of the girls appears to be talking about somebody called Adam earlier that evening, but he said they didn't talk about him or any boy on that ride. It might have been something that wasn't too concerning to Kaylee or Madison at the time, so they probably didn't continue talking about it. But you never know. If the information that Adam was told, if he shared that with somebody and that became enraging to somebody else, but it wasn't something that you could predict. He then went on to say there was no apprehension, no weird feelings there, no upsetness. There was no nervousness about them. They weren't afraid of anybody. There was nobody following them or following us. There was absolutely nothing about that ride that was different or abnormal. They were just typical sorority girls talking away, and half the time they don't pay a whole lot of attention to us drivers. We're just kind of doing our thing. The driver said he didn't pull right up to the door of the girl's house, stopping instead on the street out front. So that would probably mean he just pulled up right here. We've seen, I think you can even go to Street View here, even though the house is blurred out. He pulled up probably right in this area, and I don't know. It seems like the smartest thing. I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen in the other. You could have just pulled in, backed up, and left, because up here it's pretty much a dead end too. You have to go up there, loop around, and then you could come back around. I don't think there's a way out up there, if I remember correctly. There might be. I think it could be right in this area. You can take a left and get out of there. But that seems kind of convoluted to drive like that. Apparently he just pulled up right here. Kaylee and Madison got out with their mac and cheese and went inside their house right around 1:53. I just sort of pulled up in front of their driveway. I didn't pull right into the parking lot. I usually try not to do that because that is an easy way to get robbed. I try to stay in position where I can go either direction so I can get away if I have to. It's never happened, but you hear about these things. Yeah, I mean, so that's sort of a typical driver technique. You know, they're not going to just park into a isolated area where they have no way out except backwards. So, you know, he pulls up, lets them out, and he takes off. You know, he also said, I didn't watch them go all the way in. There were the two of them. It's a relatively safe place. It's not something I would usually sit and watch. Sometimes I absolutely will intervene if I feel a kid needs help. I've taken kids to get their stomach pumped if I feel they have to. This is a college town. These kids are just trying to live their lives. We try to look out for them. They don't need to be preyed on. I've been driving here for years, and it's weighed on me. It was rough to think I was one of the last people to see them alive. As soon as I knew for sure it was the girls, I went to the police. He was, he said, swiftly eliminated from the inquiries, having provided officers with a wealth of digital data and the time receipt from the Taco Bell to which he went after dropping the girls back home. I took about a week off when I just stepped back from it all. Those kids deserve justice, and they're not getting it. It feels to this community like the police aren't even trying. I think communities always feel like that when a case isn't solved in the amount of time that we, the public, think they should be solved. I think this case is just one of those that all the little pieces of the puzzle aren't neatly put in one place, and they're having a hard time. You got to realize the FBI has had dozens of officers working on this case since the beginning, and it still isn't solved yet. So I know why and how people are thinking this, but I don't think it's true that the police aren't working their asses off. And they're not incompetent, because obviously the FBI and the state police are investigating right alongside of them and informing them, and they're all working together. He also said it's 100% related to how they aren't communicating with the community. People are scared. Most of us have very little faith in the MPD. We can't tell if we are watching qualified investigators who have a handle of the situation or if they are completely at a loss and grasping at straws. Alright, so that's the update from Daily Mail and an interview with the private driver who gave them a ride home, who has been cleared. Apparently they have him at a Taco Bell shortly after that, and it all makes sense. I think that's interesting information, and it sort of fits, like we've been saying. Ethan, Zaina, Maddie, and Kaylee apparently all felt safe enough in their home to go to sleep. And eventually somebody came into that house and killed all 4 of them, minus the 2 roommates who arrived home around 1 a.m. That still begs the question, did the 2 roommates who arrive home at 1 a.m. live merely because they were home at 1 and perhaps didn't witness somebody? It's entirely possible that only one person was the target, and one of the girls was killed because they were near the other one and saw this person and they recognized him. And then that could be the same thing with Ethan and Zaina, that when this person was in the home, they were on a mission, and Ethan and Zaina saw the person, knew who he was, and therefore needed to be killed in his mind. There's all kinds of questions. Law enforcement obviously has a much better handle, as they know the sequencing and they know the movements of the killer through the house. Well, thank you very much for watching, and if you could please hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. And until next time, everybody, be safe out there.